All right. So I'd like to thank everybody for viewing and participating in Fraud Awareness Month this year. I'm Detective Curtis Schwark of the Winnipeg Police Service Financial Crime Unit. With us today is going to be Jason Roy, Senior Investigator with the Manitoba Securities Commission. So the presentation is going to be broken up into three parts. A brief reflection on cryptocurrency's role in the frauds that we're seeing in the Financial Crime Unit. And investigating, presentation from the Manitoba Securities Commission, and a question and answer period at the end. So why do fraudsters have an affinity for cryptocurrency? The nature of cryptocurrency itself is that it's easily transferred electronically without interaction with other people. This makes it great for the fraudsters because the process itself automatically defeats checks and balances that were built into traditional financial processes. There's no cashier to speak to at the bank when you're trying to take out large amounts of cash. There's no questioning about the purpose of the transaction. It's the fraudster can send a quick response code to their victim, have them take it to a Bitcoin ATM, scan the code, deposit the money, and it's transferred. Cryptocurrency is an emerging technology, so the vast part of the population isn't quite aware of what it's capable of, how it moves, so it's easy for the suspects to direct them and educate them in a manner that suits their fraud. Regulations and reporting are still developing and ongoing. It takes some time with the integration of the new technology for regulatory bodies to implement new regulations, new processes, and even laws themselves regarding how things are dealt with. The blockchain technology, the decentralized record keeping, there is no organization to go to obtain records in a traditional fashion. Traditionally, production orders would be obtained from the courts to get records obtained from a financial institution here in Canada, and then you can go from there. The blockchain technology is all digitized. There's no central reporting, nowhere to go to for the records, which falls to the cryptocurrency exchanges to hold some data on the people that own the accounts there. That is the other bonus for the fraudsters, is that there is some anonymity depending where they're holding their accounts. The countries, the exchanges all have different privacy laws, different methods of how they set up accounts. Different levels of accounts require different verifications. So it's easy for the fraudster to set up false accounts in other people's names, or depending where the country is, it may not even matter if it's in their own name. And accessibility. Cryptocurrency transfers can be done any time of the day. All you need is access to the internet and your resources. As long as you have your addresses and your keys, you can make transfers, sending quick response codes to the victims. They may not even have to leave home to send money out. All right, so how is it used in a fraud? What we typically see in the financial crime unit is it's replaced traditional methods of payment. In the past, people have had to send bank transfers, wire transfers. E-transfers was the last jump in the technology. Even people used to send cash inside of magazines that would get mailed to the fraudsters. MoneyGram, Western Union, those were all the traditional methods to get the funds. Now they can run the same scams, get the money much quicker, and move it around much faster. A fraudster, once he receives the initial funds from the victim, he can move it multiple times in an hour and then dispose of it through whatever means he has access to. The other version of what we see is that the cryptocurrency is the main focus of the scam itself. So the promising of great returns, initial coin offerings where people are fronting money in anticipation that they're going to make a lot more, foreign exchange trading programs, and then false investing platforms, where crypto is the main focus. So again, I kind of alluded to some of this already. So why cryptocurrency? Once you send it to the suspect, they have all the control. Unlike a bank, there's no way to stop a transaction. Once it's gone through, there's no recalling an e-transfer or canceling it. So with the cryptocurrency, it can be moved all over the globe. If you put it in a Bitcoin ATM here in Winnipeg, within hours, minutes, depending on when the transaction is verified, it can be moved completely to the other side of the world. So it's in the fraudster's favor to use that process. In terms of taking money out of the cryptocurrency exchanges, cash outs can be done through multiple methods. So it can be converted to other cryptocurrencies, which we see a lot with cryptocurrency being so volatile. They have created coins that are tied to the value of the US dollar, which makes it more stable and is a stronger store of value, so that the value of the money that was taken doesn't drop on a daily basis, depending how the value of the Bitcoin is fluctuating or the other cryptocurrency. The funds can also be converted into non-fungible tokens, or fiat currency can be withdrawn through the exchanges, where it can be deposited back into bank accounts on the other side of the world and then withdrawn by suspects. Peer-to-peer transactions can be processed through the exchanges, where the cryptocurrency is purchased and exchanged for payment from another vendor who may have no idea the cryptocurrency they're buying is actually stolen. And purchases on the dark web itself, where there is no cooperation with law enforcement entities, and with it being decentralized, there's nobody to go to try and get that information. All right, so I'm going to call up Jason Roy from the Manitoba Securities Commission, who's going to present some information on one of the most recent trends we've been seeing.
Thank you. Hello, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here. As Curtis mentioned, I'm the senior investigator at the Manitoba Securities Commission, and my job is investigating investment-related fraud. So, how prevalent is investment-related fraud in Canada? The Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre puts out statistics, and they organize all of the fraud reports that come in, and they categorize them. And so in relation to the investment fraud, in 2022, 33.5 million was reported across the country, and that had a significant jump over the next 2 years. The most recent year finished 2022. There's $308 million reported through the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre, and that's an 820% increase. So that gives you an idea of exactly how much fraud, investment-related fraud is out there. The real scary thing about that number is that only between 5 and 10% of victims report being taken in an investment fraud. So, if that $308 million is only 5 to 10% of the actual real number, we're looking at numbers that are in the billions. So what do we do, and how does that work? So So one of the things that we will do when we come across an investment-related fraud is we will issue an investor alert. And all of the securities commissions across the country do similar things. And there's a database at the CSA, the Canadian Securities Administrators, where they will house all of the investor alerts, across the country. So Manitoba alerts are up there, BC alerts, Ontario alerts. In 2021, the various securities commissions published 156 different investor alerts on different investment-related frauds, and that number jumped to 510 last year. So it's another indicator on the actual increase of investment fraud across the country. Now, how are people getting taken in these investment frauds? So there's a number of ways how that they start. You may see a fake text or a WhatsApp message come through where they will strike up a conversation and try to develop a relationship or a friendship, and then eventually the conversation will come around to investing. And this is how my uncle or my dad makes his money, and I've got this opportunity. Do you want to get involved? There's also, we're finding that victims are coming through, hacks of their social media accounts. So someone's Instagram will get hacked, and messages will go out to all of their friends. And inevitably some people will click on a link and get taken in an investment fraud. The other thing that we're seeing is advertising on social media. So they will have marketed ads targeting Manitobans. And I'm going to talk to you about a specific case that I worked on recently, and we're looking to get some awareness regarding that. But essentially, the scam, the guys that are running these investment frauds, they're out there essentially fishing for victims. So here's an example of a real advertisement that came across my personal Twitter feed. It's a real tattoo parlor located in Los Angeles. And what specifically happened, the individuals behind this fraud went on their Instagram account and their website and took some photos and created a fake Twitter account, and then issued a promoted tweet from that account. But it's a real company. They've just had their identity hijacked. And when you click on the link in the tweet, which is it's an Elon Musk story, and they will use any kind of famous person, individuals from the Dragon's Den or famous athletes. Elon Musk is being used quite often because he's in the news. And what the link, when you click on the link, it takes you to a what looks like a real CBC News article, but it's fictitious. I have sort of the headline of the fake article, and advertising something called or talking about something called crypto Twitter. You read the article, and once you click on that link, it brings you to a form that you would complete, where you put in your contact details. So you would put in your name and your email address, and if you do that within 24 hours, sometimes within 10 minutes, you'll either get a phone call or an email from an actual boiler room. They will start contacting you by email, by phone, and leaving you messages. So one of the things that I do at the Securities Commission is I have a covert identity, which is not my real name, not my real address or email address, and not a phone number linked to the government. So we will use that, put our information in those forms when we find out about them, and find out who's actually behind the website behind the scams, and try to get an alert out to warn the public. So what ends up calling you or you end up talking to is what's known as a boiler room. You may have seen the movie Boiler Room, but it's essentially a room with a bunch of people on phones, and their entire job is to separate you from your money. So they've got a pitch that they've perfected, and it's become more and more sophisticated. They have all of your questions anticipated, and if you look at these are two ads from real boiler rooms looking for employees. So they're actually using the Wolf of Wall Street logo. Earn 2 months' salary in 4.5 days. They'll have sales competitions where whoever scams the largest amount will get a BMW, and they're making millions and millions of dollars, so they can do that. And they have an ad that predators work at night, and that relates to the fact that they are from overseas, and because of the time change, they're working at night to call Manitobans during the day while they're home, or while they're working, and up answering their phone. So the boiler room pitch, and this is from I've listened to and been involved in hearing many of them. That one of the things they'll say, we're going to open up a trading account for you, and I'm going to assist you with that. They'll ask you questions and try to get you excited about what you're going to do with your profits, what kind of vacation you want to go on. And really what they're trying to do is start off with a really small amount. They'll ask for 250 US, or whatever the equivalent is Canadian, $330, $340, depending on the exchange rate. And that is, again, designed to capture the most victims. If they came to you and said, "Give me, we're looking for 5,000," a lot of people would hang up the phone, and they've realized that. So what they do is they start with that really small amount that most people would kind of brush off and think, "Oh, I'll take a flyer on it. It's only $330 Canadian. I'll invest, see what happens." Well, what they do once you've put that money in is they then show you fake profits. So all of the trading in the account is not real. It's fictitious, and it's just designed to get you excited, thinking, "Oh, if I only put 300 in and my account's now worth $2,000, what if I put 10,000 in? What kind of return am I going to be making? I may not have to work ever again." And so we're finding many Manitobans are putting in that initial $340 and starting off, and a percentage of those will inevitably become larger victims, and it's quite sad and quite concerning, the amount of money that's essentially leaving the country forever. This is money that's never going to return, and it affects the not only the victims and their family, it affects our tax base. This is money that's not going to be spent here. But the getting back to the trading sites, they're very slick. They will offer things like account protection. They will offer bonuses, depending on how much you put in. So they're all designed. You can see it starts off at 250, and the larger the larger amounts that you end up putting in, the better the account is, and the better the return, and the more profit you're allegedly supposed to make. So when you look at the websites, you wouldn't be able to initially tell this is a fraud. The website looks really good. It's very professional. It looks like the trading on it is real, but they control the back end and essentially make it look like you're making profits. And they offer things like trading in cryptocurrency, trading in Forex, and trading in CFDs. Again, here's another example of a website. Start trading like an expert. It doesn't have to be complicated. And this also has, it's saying it's the best performing broker in Canada and the fastest growing broker in Canada for the year 2021. Again, this is not a real trading firm. They're not registered in Canada, and it's just designed to separate Manitobans from their money. So again, as I mentioned, the fake trading results lead individuals, unfortunately, to making larger deposits, and at that point it becomes too late. Once the money's gone, it's very difficult to recover. It's gone, as Curtis has mentioned, through a crypto exchange, and then to a wallet, and to the other side of the world, and very difficult to track down and to trace. We can go to the next slide. So the larger deposits end up, causing life-changing losses for our victims. Their retirements are impacted. Their families are devastated. The vacations they wanted to go on are no longer going to happen. The cars or the purchases or the house they would have likely been able to afford doesn't happen. We've seen Manitobans cash out retirement savings. We've seen them borrow money against their credit cards, borrow money from their lines of credit, and this is again money that's never coming back. What happens once individuals realize they've been scammed and they won't put any more money in? They will get hit with what we call a recovery scam, and essentially that is a game designed to take more money from victims. So they will the same people that are behind the scam that initially took your money will contact you pretending to be a fake regulator in the UK or in Cyprus, and stating that they've raided this company and your account has been frozen and they're going to return the funds to you. You just got to pay the taxes or the fees or the anti-money laundering charges or whatever, and then you just pay that extra 5% of your account value, which is all fake, and then we'll send you the rest. And that is again an advance fee fraud, just designed to take more of your money. So just to sort of finish up and talk about some of the key messages in the websites, or the red flags. So the websites are usually just set up. So you can do what we call a who is check. You can just Google who is, and there's lots of different websites, and you can go in and see when the website was created if you put in the URL. Lots of them. We have victims that we've identified, and they contact us, the ones that contact us early on, after that initial 250, we'll look, and the website had been just created like the month previous. So are you going to be someone that wants to put your money in a website that's less than a year old? I think if Manitobans knew that, they would likely maybe shy away from investing in something like that. It's really important to check the registration. All of these investment companies that are offering investments to Manitobans need to be registered. You can do that by going to a website that's run by the CSA, and it's called arethéregistered.ca. I'll repeat that, arethéregistered.ca. You can go on there and determine whether or not the company that's soliciting you is registered or not. You can also check the Canadian Securities Administrators website for investor alerts, not just in Manitoba, but across the country. We put out alerts here in Manitoba, but the individuals are not just scamming Manitobans; they're scamming Canadians at large. So you may not see it yet on our website because we don't know about it. You'll see it, maybe on the CSA site. But I want to caution about that, because lots of times by the time we get the alerts out, it's already too late for most investors, and the scammers have already moved on to the next site. There's a life cycle of these websites for about 8 to 12 months, and they will scam as much as they can, and then all of a sudden there's enough alerts and warnings out that they will switch it up and move on to the next website, give the new script to the boiler room, saying we're not scamming on site A anymore. We're gonna talk about site B. One of the other things we're seeing, which is quite concerning, is investors are giving remote access to their computer and their phone. So the scammers are, again, very sophisticated. So they will offer to help you make transfer your money out of your bank account, to the crypto exchange or through an e-transfer. And so if you're not that sophisticated, they'll come on and offer help, and who knows, what they've done now that they've got access to your computer. So the other thing is, I want to reiterate, the trading in those accounts is not real. It's fake. When you try to withdraw, they'll stall, request more money for fees and taxes. So don't send them. If you're involved in one now, do not send them any more money, no matter what they tell you. Contact our office. And as I mentioned, victims are likely to get solicited by recovery room scams. And I've given some resources there that will maybe just leave that up for individuals to jot down and contact us if they've been victimized. It's also, if you've been solicited by an investment fraud, it's important to report it. Get the name of the website that solicited you and the website address. Don't give them any personal information, but get that and then report it. We don't know what's going on unless it's been reported to our office. So I often recruit our victims and the public to help us fight back against this kind of thing. So I'm not sure if the viewers today have seen what happened yesterday with us, but we issued 34 different investor alerts on 34 different investment trading scams involving 66 Manitoba victims, and the total losses in that particular group of scams is over $700,000. Many of them are just the $340, $330 amount, and then there's a group of 10 or 15 of those 66 Manitobans that have put in much larger amounts to make up that 700,000. So they're out there fishing, for victims. So the messages don't get caught. So with that, I guess maybe we'll take some questions. So there's a question here. Are cryptocurrency deposits protected in any way? Are there any legitimate recovery companies? So in terms of the crypto deposits, what I can say about that is there are legitimate crypto exchanges that are registered with the various securities commissions in Canada. I think there's close to 8 or 10. You can find that information on the CSA website. We'll have a list of them. So if you have your money there, there obviously is some protection because it is a legitimate company. But once you've sent your money to a wallet, it's gone at that point. Are there any legitimate recovery companies? I suspect there may be. I haven't come across any. We deal with the victims that that have been taken in recovery scams. So there's lots that try to appear legitimate and they look legitimate. Lots of them will take a fee up front and provide a report, but investors maybe won't get anything concrete out of it or won't actually get their money back. So I'd be very careful about dealing with any recovery company. And you can sign up for investor alert notifications on our website. It's mbsecurities.ca. If you go there, I don't know specifically where it is standing here, but you should be able to sign up for investor alerts on our website. Not seeing if there's any additional questions. Curtis, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Just in addition to the recovery sites, one of the things that cryptocurrency purported to be was the anonymity. So it becomes the question of how would a recovery website where your name and personal information isn't tied to an address that people can see, how would that firm or company know that you were the victim unless they were the suspects, right? So unless you've reached out and searched out for a company to do that sort of thing for you and you provided all your information, if somebody's contacting you without you initiating that contact, that is likely your suspect, and you should consider that a red flag.
I agree with that, but also just wanted to add that there's lots of scams that are out there advertising recovery services. So you really never know, and paying upfront, I think for that kind of work is not something that I would recommend doing. I got a question here about the anti-fraud website info. So you can also report being a victim of investment fraud to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center, and you can go to their. You can just Google the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center. You'll be directed to a feature where you can actually report being victimized. But we monitor the reports that are going through there. We have all kinds of reports from across the country, and work with the Anti-Fraud Center to determine what's going on. There's a question here about legitimacy of cryptocurrency.
Yeah. So like many things on the internet, it's very hard to determine what is real, what is not. Even for things that have been around for a while, the recent collapse of the FTX cryptocurrency exchange, it was the second largest exchange by volume in the world. Everybody thought it was the real deal, had the celebrity spokespeople, appeared to be doing all the right things, and yet turned out to be a sham. At one point, it was valued at $32 billion, and tons of people had purchased their coins, worked through their exchange. So the great answer is you may never know what a solid investment is in terms of cryptocurrency. Always treat everything with a healthy dose of skepticism, and it's the age-old adage of ask a buddy, ask the people around you. Like if a lot of people don't know about crypto yet, but somebody may have stories to share with you that may drive it home for you, that if you're sending money to people over the internet and you haven't done your due diligence, there's a good chance you may lose that money.
Yeah, I mean, so there's this is not something that we would deal with at the Securities Commission. It's a sort of a fake lottery related question. So if you've got something saying that you're a winner, the old adage, if you can't win a lottery, you didn't enter. So those are again designed to trick you and in order to get you to pay the upfront advance fee of the taxes or the fees in order to get your money, and they will essentially will lose whatever you put in. I don't see any more questions. Disappeared. Yeah. Okay. I think we're done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming and sharing your information with us, Jason.
Appreciate it.
Really appreciate it.